Welcome back to the deep dive. Ready to step on the electric accelerator?
Yeah.
Today we're diving into the BYD eMax 7.
Nice.
It's this electric MPV that's really making some waves.
Yeah.
Think of it as the E6's glow up. It's packed with upgrades and innovations.
Oh, very cool.
We've got a detailed review and some really juicy tech specs to break down, so buckle up.
And even if you're not like in the market for a family hauler right now, this deep dive is about way more than just one car.
Right.
We're going to be exploring how this eMax 7 shows us the future of electric vehicles and what that means for, well, you, the driver.
The driver of tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow, yeah.
Exactly. So let's start with a bit of backstory. BYD didn't just pop up out of nowhere and decide to make cars.
Right.
They've actually been in the game for a while now.
Yeah. Back in 2007, they came to India.
Okay.
But they weren't making cars yet. They were supplying batteries.
Gotcha.
Mostly for things like mobile devices.
Makes sense.
So they spend years really building up their expertise in, one of the most important parts of the EV, the battery.
Yeah, they really knew their batteries.
Right.
Then in 2021, they launched the E6.
Yeah.
And they were kind of aiming at fleet operators with that one.
Mm.
But something kind of interesting happened.
What that?
Private buyers, they started getting really interested.
Really?
Yeah, they liked the E6 overall, but they kind of wanted a little more polish,
Oh, I see.
a touch of luxury.
Yeah.
And BYD, they noticed, they listened.
Good.
The eMax 7 is their direct response to that.
Interesting. So they're adapting.
Yeah.
That's a really smart move.
It shows how car companies are becoming a lot more agile.
Yeah.
They're adapting to what people want.
Right.
No more dictating trends. It's about responding to what the drivers need.
It shows the EV market's maturing, manufacturers are realizing that, they need to cater to, what people want if they want to be successful.
Okay. Speaking of winning over an audience, let's talk about the eMax 7's exterior.
Okay.
This isn't just some subtle refresh. BYD, they went for a full-on makeover.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah.
And they started with the front.
Okay.
So they ditched that outdated fake grille.
Yeah.
And they replaced it with BYD's signature dragon face.
Dragon face.
Dragon face.
That sounds intense.
It is intense.
Okay.
Imagine sharp angular lines, almost aggressive, you know, like a dragon's snout.
Oh, cool.
And then they added these super sleek crystal diamond LED headlights.
Fancy.
It really elevates the whole look.
So it's got style, but what about the substance?
What about the substance? Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's not all about just aesthetics.
Okay.
They've also integrated some really practical features.
Like what?
Like a 360-degree camera system, for effortless parking, which, let's face it, is a lifesaver in those tight spots.
For sure.
And get this, NFC-enabled side mirrors.
Wait, what's that even mean?
So imagine this. You're walking up to your car, phone in hand.
Right? Yeah.
And instead of fumbling for your keys, you just tap your phone on the side mirror.
To the mirror. Right.
And boom, car unlocked.
That's so cool.
It's all about that seamless integration,
Yeah.
Those little touches that just make life easier.
For sure.
I know. Okay, so since we're on a roll with cool features, let's step inside. What's the vibe in the eMax 7?
All right, so if the exterior was all about making a statement,
Yeah.
the interior is where luxury and comfort really take over.
Okay.
First off, they've upped their game with a massive 12.8-inch infotainment screen.
Ooh, bigger is better, right?
Exactly. And they redesigned the steering wheel. It just feels so good in your hands.
I'm a sucker for a good steering wheel.
Yeah.
What about the seats? Are we talking basic or business class here?
Think business class.
Okay.
Maybe even with more legroom.
Even better.
They're power adjustable and ventilated.
Okay.
Because who wants a sweaty back on a hot day?
No one. No one wants a sweaty back.
And they added wireless charging and ambient lighting.
Nice.
Those little details that just make it feel, premium.
Yeah, so it sounds like they're really pulling out all the stops to rival those traditional luxury cars.
They are.
But let's be honest, the real test for any family car is the back seat situation.
Right.
What's the eMax 7 got going on back there?
Oh, the back seat is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
First of all, you've got plush captain's chairs.
Ooh.
Imagine just sinking into those after a long day.
I love it.
And then there's a panoramic glass roof.
Stargazing on those road trips.
Exactly.
Yes.
But here's the real kicker. They've added a third row.
A third row?
Yeah.
In an electric MPV? I didn't even know those existed.
I know. Wow. It might not be the most spacious third row. Right. But for those like occasional carpools or if you need to haul some extra kids around,
yeah,
it's a game changer. And they even have an option for a bench seat if you need to fit a bigger group.
So BYD is really trying to cover all the bases here.
They are.
And I love it. Need to haul the soccer team? No problem.
Yeah.
Want to cruise in luxury? Done.
Yeah.
Thinking about turning it into like a mini camper for a weekend adventure.
You know, that's actually exactly how the reviewer described the 7-seater variant.
Oh, really?
You can fold down the second row, and you get this surprisingly spacious area.
Okay, I'm sold. Where do I sign up?
Right.
But before I max out my credit card, we need to talk about, like, the heart of any EV.
Okay.
The battery.
Yeah.
And the performance. So what's under the hood, or should I say under the floorboards of eMax 7?
Okay, this is where things get truly electrifying.
I like it.
Compared to the E6, the eMax 7 has this significant boost in power and torque. We're talking 211 bhp. Wow. And 310 nm of torque in the top-end trim.
Okay, those numbers sound impressive.
Yeah.
But how does that, like, translate to the real world?
Yeah.
Will I feel like I'm piloting a spaceship?
Well, maybe not a spaceship.
Okay.
Some reviewers did say that, like, the acceleration, even in sport mode,
Yeah.
might not be as, like, punchy as you might expect from an EV.
Okay.
But, hey, as long as it's smooth and comfortable, right?
Right.
I mean, who wants a neck-snapping experience when they've got their family on board?
Exactly. I'd rather have a relaxed ride than a neck-snapping experience.
Right.
Especially if I've got, the family in the car.
Exactly.
So what about range? That's the million-dollar question for anyone, thinking about getting an EV.
Right.
What's the range like on this thing?
Range anxiety.
Yeah.
Not with the eMax 7.
Okay, good.
With the larger 70.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack, you can get up to a whopping 530 kilometers on a single charge.
530 kilometers.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's a huge jump from the E6.
Forget range anxiety. That's range excitement.
Yeah, right.
What if I go for, like, the smaller battery, though?
Even with the premium variant's 55.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack,
Yeah.
you still get a very respectable 420 kilometers of range.
Okay.
Which is, more than enough for most daily commutes and those weekend adventures.
So range is covered.
Yeah.
Well, what about safety? Especially with those, like, big battery packs?
Right.
That's a concern I hear a lot.
Yeah, you've hit on a really crucial point.
Yeah.
But this is where BYD's, like, innovation really shines through.
Okay.
The eMax 7 features their groundbreaking LFP blade battery.
Blade battery.
Blade battery.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
So this battery tech it's a game changer.
Okay.
It tackles two major EV concerns head-on.
Which are?
Safety and lifespan.
Okay.
Unlike those traditional lithium-ion batteries that, sometimes make headlines for, catching fire.
Right.
This one uses lithium iron phosphate chemistry, which is much more stable, much less likely to overheat.
So it's a safer option.
It's a significantly safer option.
Oh, okay.
The blade battery's, like, unique architecture really minimizes the risk of thermal runaway.
Right.
Which is, one of the big safety concerns with those traditional lithium-ion batteries.
Okay.
But here's the other really amazing part.
Okay.
BYD claims that these batteries can handle thousands of charge cycles.
Wow.
Without losing much capacity.
That's huge.
Right.
Because, let's be real, one of the biggest worries people have about EVs is that the battery's going to die after a few years.
Exactly.
And then you got to replace it, which is expensive.
Expensive, yeah.
So this is a big deal.
It is. BYD is basically saying, don't worry, this battery's in it for the long haul.
That's a really powerful message.
It is.
And I think that could be, like, a real game changer for people who are thinking about buying an EV.
Yeah.
But they're a little hesitant because of the battery.
Exactly.
How long is it going to last?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm impressed. But even with this, like, super battery, I'm guessing charging still takes forever.
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
BYD has equipped the eMax 7 with fast charging.
Okay.
You can get it up to 80% in about an hour.
An hour?
Yeah, using DC fast chargers.
That's way faster than I expected.
Right.
So no more waiting around for hours at a charging station.
Exactly.
BYD has really thought of everything.
Yeah.
It's not just about, the practicality and convenience, but they're pushing the boundaries of, like, what an EV can be.
Absolutely.
Especially with that V2L technology.
Yeah.
You mentioned that earlier. Can you remind us what that's all about?
So V2L stands for vehicle to load.
Okay.
And basically what it does is it turns your car into this giant power bank.
Okay.
You can plug in small appliances,
Like
a laptop, a mini fridge, even power tools.
Wait, so I could, like, theoretically power my entire campsite using my car?
Theoretically, yes.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. It's a glimpse into a future where, your EV could be like a lifesaver
Yeah.
during a power outage.
Right.
Or, if you're going off grid.
Yeah. Okay, that's mind-blowing.
It is pretty cool.
So we've covered the exterior, the interior, performance, range, safety, charging, and even, like, its potential as a mobile power station.
A lot.
Is there anything else we need to know about the eMax 7?
Actually, there is. There's one more thing that I think is super important.
All right.
Especially for, people who care about the planet.
Yeah.
And that's BYD's commitment to sustainability,
Okay.
even in the materials they use.
Okay, now you've got my attention. What are they doing differently?
Well, BYD has made a real effort to use recycled and sustainable materials in the eMax 7.
Okay.
It's not just about building an electric car.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, minimizing that environmental impact.
Right, from start to finish.
Yeah.
So what kind of materials are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, they use recycled plastics in a lot of the interior parts.
Okay.
Like the trim, the dashboard.
Okay.
They're giving those materials a second life.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I love that, reducing waste by reusing what we already have.
Right.
What else?
They've also started using plant-based materials in some of the upholstery and finishes.
Plant-based materials in a car.
Yeah.
That's new to me.
It is a growing trend in the car industry.
Yeah.
As companies are looking for ways to, not rely so much on petroleum-based products.
Okay.
They're, turning to more sustainable and renewable options.
It's really cool to see, that innovation and sustainability can go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're not just building a car for today,
Yeah.
but they're building it for a better tomorrow.
Exactly. And that kind of thinking is what, really sets companies like BYD apart.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're showing that you can have a car that's, high performance, stylish, technologically advanced.
Yeah.
But also environmentally responsible.
Okay. So we've covered all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
But what is it actually like to drive this thing?
Right.
What kind of, driving experience does the eMax 7 offer?
From the reviews that we've seen, it looks like the eMax 7 is all about a smooth and comfortable ride.
Okay.
It's not so much about, that neck-snapping acceleration.
Which makes sense for a family-oriented MPV. I don't think parents want to feel like they're on a roller coaster every time they, hit the gas.
Right. Exactly. They've really focused on refinement and a, comfortable ride.
Okay.
Perfect for, those long journeys.
Yeah.
And those everyday commutes.
And honestly, with all the, tech and luxury features we've talked about, I think I could live with a slightly less aggressive acceleration.
Right.
Speaking of tech, I want to circle back to that Blade battery for a sec.
Okay.
You mentioned the safety.
Yeah.
But what about its lifespan? How long will this battery actually last?
That's another area where this Blade battery really shines.
Okay.
BYD says it can handle thousands of charge cycles.
Thousands.
Without, any big degradation.
That's a lot.
It is.
Because one of the big concerns, let's be real, is that the battery is going to die eventually and need to be replaced.
Right.
Which can be really expensive.
Yeah, it can be.
This is good news.
It is. BYD seems to be addressing that head on.
Yeah.
With this technology, they're saying, hey, don't worry about it. This battery's built to last.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
And I think it could be a real game changer for potential EV buyers who are, kind of hesitant about that battery longevity.
Right, exactly.
So it adds to the whole value proposition of the eMax 7.
Absolutely.
You're getting a spacious, luxurious, practical vehicle with a battery that's not only safe, but also really durable.
Yeah.
And don't forget that impressive range.
Right.
Fewer trips to the charging station is always a win in my book.
It is.
And when you do need to charge, that fast charging capability really comes in handy.
It does. It's all about, convenience and peace of mind.
Right.
You can just quickly top up the battery and get back on the road.
No hassle. BYD has clearly thought of every little detail with this eMax 7.
They really have.
From the design and features to the performance and charging.
It's they're not just, building a car.
Yeah.
They're building, a whole ecosystem around it.
Yeah.
Which is, a really smart strategy in this world of EVs.
You hit the nail on the head. It's not enough to just offer like an electric powertrain anymore.
Yeah.
You got to create that complete package, you know,
Right.
that addresses all the needs and concerns of like today's EV buyer.
Right. It's about making that transition to electric mobility as smooth as possible.
Seamless.
Yeah.
I think BYD is setting a great example with the eMax 7 of what that transition can look like.
They really are.
You know?
Yeah.
They're showing that EVs can be practical, desirable, a real alternative to gas-powered cars.
Absolutely.
It's like they're giving us a glimpse into the future of transportation.
They are. And, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But you know what? It makes you wonder, what role will these EVs play in a future where, like, renewable energy is so important?
That's a great question.
Right.
And that's one that has a lot of people thinking.
I know.
Imagine a world where your electric car not only runs on clean energy, but it can act as like a storage unit for all that extra energy generated from, say, like your solar panels.
Yes.
Whoa, hold on. Are you saying like my car could be like a giant battery backup for my house?
Potentially, yes.
Wow.
It's called vehicle to grid,
Okay.
or V2G technology.
Yeah, there's 2G. Okay.
And it's something that, researchers and engineers are really looking into.
So we're talking about a future where our cars aren't just transportation,
Right.
but they're part of this bigger energy ecosystem.
Exactly. It could have a huge impact on, like, how stable our power grids are.
I can see it now, like smart neighborhoods where electric vehicles are plugged into the grid, helping to balance, supply and demand,
Yes.
and reducing our need for fossil fuels.
Exactly.
It's a pretty compelling vision, and it's one that's, getting closer to reality every day.
It is. But before we get too carried away with all the futuristic stuff,
Yeah.
it's important to, like, bring it back to the eMax 7
Okay.
and, how it actually performs in the real world.
Yeah, you're right. Let's ground ourselves for a moment. We've talked about like the power, the range, but what about the actual driving experience?
Yeah.
What's it like to, get behind the wheel of this electric MPV?
Well, based on the reviews we've seen, it seems like comfort and smoothness are more important than, super fast acceleration.
Yeah.
It's not a sports car,
Right.
but it's no slouch either.
Okay.
It can still get up and go when it needs to,
That makes sense. For a family vehicle. I mean, I'd rather have a smooth and quiet ride than a jarring, bumpy experience.
Right, especially with kids in the back.
Yeah, especially with kids in the back. So what else did reviewers have to say about like the driving experience?
Yeah. They really liked the handling. They said it was surprisingly agile for its size.
Okay.
And they liked the quiet cabin
Okay.
and the overall, like, feeling of refinement.
Yeah, that's important, especially if you're spending a lot of time in your car. You don't want to feel like you're in like a noisy tin can.
Yeah, exactly. The eMax 7 seems to offer that, like, pleasant and relaxing driving experience.
Yeah.
Which is, you want a family car.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like BYD has really like hit the mark with this eMax 7.
They have.
From its design and features to its performance and, the driving experience itself. But I gotta ask.
Yeah.
What do you think is like the biggest challenge for getting more people to buy EVs?
That's a great question. And there are definitely a few hurdles. But I think one of the biggest ones is perception.
Perception. What do you mean by that?
Well, even though there have been all these advancements, we've talked about a lot of them today,
Right.
there are still some misconceptions about electric vehicles.
Okay.
Things like, range anxiety,
Yeah.
the cost of EVs,
Yeah.
and, finding a place to charge them.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard all those concerns. But it seems like those are becoming less of an issue as the technology gets better and, as there are more charging stations.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But they are still, like, hanging around in the minds of a lot of people.
Okay.
So I think education is really important.
Yeah.
Letting people know about, like, what it's really like to own an EV.
Yeah.
Busting those myths.
Right.
And really highlighting all the good stuff.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do here on the Deep Dive.
Exactly.
We're all about exploring new ideas, challenging assumptions, and shedding light on all the latest cool stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
I think the eMax 7 is the perfect example of how EVs are, evolving to meet the needs of more and more people.
Yeah. It's a really compelling package.
It is.
It offers luxury, practicality, performance, and sustainability.
It does.
All wrapped up in one stylish and technologically advanced car.
And it's a sign of things to come,
Yeah.
as the car industry really gets into this electric revolution.
I'm excited to see what the future holds.
I know, me too.
But before we wrap up our deep dive into the eMax 7,
Yeah.
I have one more question for you.
Okay.
With all these advancements in EV technology, from the range and performance to safety and sustainability, what do you think will be the biggest impact on our lives?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And I think I think there are a lot of answers to that, actually.
Yeah.
But I really think one of the biggest impacts is going to be on our relationship with energy.
Interesting. Tell me more.
So as electric vehicles become, more common, they're going to start to play a much bigger part in how we get our energy.
Okay.
We talked about V2G technology, where EVs can send energy back to the grid.
Right.
But I think it goes even further than that.
Okay.
Think about, imagine a future where your electric car isn't just a car.
Yeah.
It's like this mobile energy storage unit
Okay.
that can power your house if the power goes out,
Right.
or even provide backup power to the grid
Yeah.
when everyone's using a lot of energy.
Wow. So you're saying turning our cars into mini power plants
Yeah, kind of.
on wheels.
Exactly. And that could change how energy independent we are, how stable the grid is, and even how we, switch to cleaner energy sources.
It's like EVs are making us rethink energy completely.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's not just about the technology. It's about how we change, how we act, our infrastructure,
Yeah.
even our policies,
Yeah. It's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And EVs are at the center of it, creating these waves of change that could change everything.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And it's definitely something for all of us to think about
For sure.
as we head towards this electric future.
Absolutely. But before we wrap up our deep dive into the eMax 7,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay, hit me.
As EVs become more and more a part of our lives,
Right.
not just for driving, but for, power and storing energy, how do you think that's going to change how we interact with our homes, our communities,
Yeah.
and even the power grid?
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is a big one. It's a question that could fuel a whole other, deep dive.
Right. Really gets you thinking.
Are we going to be scheduling our laundry based on how much solar energy our car has stored up?
Maybe. And, that's just one thing. Think about how this could change cities.
Okay.
We might see neighborhoods built around charging stations.
Yeah.
Or even community microgrids.
Yeah.
Where, AVs are a big part of how the power is shared.
Wait, hold on. A microgrid?
Yeah.
You're saying our cars could help power our whole neighborhood.
Exactly. Imagine all the houses and businesses, all connected, sharing energy, and the cars are both using and giving back electricity.
That's amazing.
Right. It's this idea that energy can be more local, more reliable.
So we're not just talking about cars anymore. It's this whole new way of thinking about energy.
Exactly. And as self-driving tech gets better,
Right.
imagine electric robo-taxis everywhere. Yeah. It could change public transit completely.
Okay.
Less traffic, cleaner cities,
It sounds kind of like a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? But it's getting more realistic all the time.
It really is. It shows the power of innovation.
Yeah.
How these technologies can change the world. And it starts with companies like BYD.
Right.
Pushing the limits with cars like the eMax 7.
Yeah.
They're showing us that electric can be practical, it can be cool, sustainable, even a little futuristic.
Absolutely. So where do we go from here?
Yeah, what does this all mean for, the everyday driver?
It means the choices we make now
Yeah.
as, people buying things, investing, even just as citizens, are going to shape the future of how we get around.
Okay.
If we support electric vehicles, help build more charging stations, and push for policies that support clean energy, we can all be a part of making transportation cleaner and better.
So it's not just about buying a new car.
No.
It's about choosing to be part of this whole electric movement.
Exactly. Every time you walk, bike, take the bus, or even drive an electric car, you're saying, hey, I want a more sustainable world.
This has been a really incredible deep dive.
Yeah.
I feel like not only did I learn about a really cool car, but I also have this whole new way of thinking about transportation and energy in general.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, this is only the beginning.
Right.
As technology keeps getting better, the possibilities are endless.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Oh.
But the conversation doesn't end here.
Right.
Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deeper into all those things that, get you excited.
Yes.
And until next time, keep those wheels turning.